So first, what is a cell? Well, in the simplest terms, a cell is the smallest unit of a living organism. A cell takes matter from its surroundings and performs chemical reactions in order to survive, divide and pass on its genetic information. That is what a cell is, and that is what a cell does. You can sort of view a cell as a bag of controlled chemical reactions that result in life. But there's so much more to cells. Cells are organised, they're controlled, and they pass on their characteristics to the next generation of cells. Cells can even talk to each other and organise to form complex tissues and organs and to ultimately produce higher life forms such as ourselves. So how do cells do all of this? How do they work? How do they live? And how do they pass on their genetic material? Now, two things that always surprises me about cells. First, they are all the same, and second, they are all different. So how can these two apparent opposite statements be true? How can all cells be the same and yet all cells be different? How can all cells be the same? Well, all animal cells have a similar structure and contain the same components. The cells have a plasma membrane, and the role of that membrane is to keep the inside in and the outside out. Now, this is a critical role. If the plasma membrane can't do that, then we wouldn't have a cell, because we wouldn't be able to maintain the correct chemical environment inside the cell to maintain life. Membranes are so good at doing this that the cell has a number of internal structures called organelles, such as the nucleus, the endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi, peroxisomes, lysosomes, the mitochondria, and the trans-Golgi network, that all use membranes to help maintain their unique internal environment and hence their function. In this way, all animal cells are the same. Okay, some may have more mitochondria than others, or maybe more smooth endoplasmic reticulum, but basically all animal cells are the same. But all cells are also different. Our bodies are made up of around 200 different cell types. All those cell types have different functions and different roles. They have different sizes and shapes. Even cells of the same type can be different as a result of the action of different external stimuli, or their age or location in a tissue. So let's think about the different sizes of cells in our bodies. Okay, say this FA regulation size football is an average human cell in terms of size, well, in terms of its volume. However, before we go any further with this, I should point out that there is no such thing as an average human cell. Hence, there's no average human cell volume. However, a number that is often used for the average volume is 4,000 cubic micrometers. So if this football has the same volume as an average human cell, how big would be the biggest cell on this scale in the human body, and how small would be the smallest? Well, the biggest cell in the human body is the oocyte, with a whopping volume of 4 million cubic micrometers. So roughly 1,000 footballs on the football scale. Or you can view the oocyte as a single sphere, and it would have a diameter of 2.23 meters, which, if I raise my arm, is the distance from my fingertips to the ground. That's one big football. Now, the smallest cell in the human body is the sperm cell, and this has a volume of only 30 cubic micrometers. So on our football scale, this would give a sphere of around 4 centimeters, or a ping pong ball. So now, let's put this into perspective. An oocyte is 2.23 meters, and yet a sperm is only 4 centimeters. Kind of makes you think. But what about cells we all have? Well, one of the largest common cells in the human body is the adipocyte, or fat cell. These come in with a volume of around 600,000 cubic micrometers, which is a sphere on the football scale with a diameter of about 1.18 meters, which for me is the distance from my right shoulder to the fingertips of my left hand, or up to about here from the ground. One of the smallest common cells in the human body is the red blood cell, or the RBC to its friends. The RBC has a volume of around 100 cubic micrometers, which on the football scale is a sphere of 7 centimeters, roughly the size of a tennis ball. Now, cells aren't spherical. They're all shapes. The cells that are closest to being spherical are oocytes and adipocytes, the two largest. Cells actually come in a range of shapes and sizes. Now, in terms of shape, we have a huge range of forms. We have long, thin nerve cells, the longest of which in the human body is over 1 metre and runs from the base of the spine to the big toe. We have red blood cells with their typical donut shape. We have the ubiquitous fibroblast. These cells can be found all over the body and come in a large number of sizes and shapes. We have epithelial cells, which form the surface of our bodies, such as our skin, blood vessels, urinary tract and organs. The one shown here is a really badly drawn example of the type you might find lining your small intestines. And one of my favourite cells is the Muller cell. This is a cell of the retina. The cell is wide at the ends and has a bulbous looking nucleus in the middle. They are often drawn quite spiky as they have bits of membrane that go out and make contact with nearby cells of the retina. Moving on, we have big round fat cells, and this is another cell I've worked with. In this badly drawn example, here it looks like the cell has 2 nuclei. However, they don't. They have 1 nucleus, and the other large nucleus in this diagram is in fact a fat droplet, which can take up 95% of the available space in the cytoplasm. Again, this was a cell we used to think had very little to do other than store energy as fat and help keep us warm. But we now know that they do a lot more. In fact, they secrete a wide range of signaling molecules, so they can actually be viewed as an endocrine cell. So that is a brief introduction to cells.